They said Karl was a man misplaced in time, forged for wars that no longer needed him, with hands built for sword and shield rather than the clumsy subtleties of peace. His heart thudded in his chest like a war drum, relentless, hollow. In Timișoara, a city dressed in the fading glory of the empire, he was an artifact of another age, and like all relics, he carried with him the scent of death. The morning fog had not lifted. It pressed low against the cobbled streets, thick and wet, like breath against a coffin lid. The gaslights flickered with jaundiced halos, their flames struggling in the suffocating mist. Wooden carts creaked over stones slick with river moisture, and rats, plump and brazen, scurried through the refuse choking the alleys. Black-clad beggars huddled beneath crumbling archways, their cuffs scraping the silence like knives. Above it all, the Roman Catholic dome loomed, its spire a black finger jabbing at the bruised sky. Karl entered the cathedral with heavy steps, his boots ringing out in the cavernous gloom. The scent of beeswax and mildew clung to the air. The worshippers, clutching their rosaries with bone-white fingers, shrank from him, as if sensing the violence that radiated from his frame. He knelt, more by habit than devotion. The Latin murmurs of the priest echoed hollowly against the cracked frescoes, and even the stained glass windows swept condensation, as though the saints themselves recoiled from what stalked their house today. And then, through the veil of incense and despair, her, Johanna, a wraith in mourning black, standing motionless beneath a sputtering candelabra. The tulle of her veil seemed to breathe with the flickering flames. When she lifted her chin ever so slightly, Karl caught the glint of her eyes, sharp as broken glass, fragile as thawing ice. After Mass, the congregation fled into the mist like rats from a burning barn. Karl followed her, the weight of inevitability in his chest. No technical maneuver could explain it. No strategy could contain it. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded strange, even to himself. The invitation to the theater was offered and accepted with a simplicity that belied the crackling tension between them. That evening, the city wore its decay like a shroud. The gaslights struggled against the encroaching gloom, their oil-starved flames sputtering. Gutter water shimmered with strange colors. The plaster of once proud townhouses peeled away in sickly strips, exposing brickwork like rotting flesh. The Bega River, swollen and sludgy, exhaled a stench that turned the stomach. The theater itself was a corpse of grandeur. Columns streaked with mildew, velvet seats threadbare and faded, chandeliers swinging gently in drafts that seemed to come from nowhere. As they sat, the performance unfolded. Some tragic tale of betrayal and blood, but neither Karl nor Johanna heard much of it. The air between them thrummed with a tension thicker than the velvet curtains. When her shoulder brushed his by accident or design, he felt it like a brand. And then, a chill, a crawling sensation at the base of the spine. From somewhere behind them, a sound. Music. But not the music of the orchestra, which had long since finished tuning. This was different. A piano, yes, but strained, discordant. Notes bending into shapes that felt wrong to the human ear, like a funeral dirge twisted by a madman's hand. The melody slithered through the darkened theater, finding them, coiling around their ribs. Karl looked over his shoulder. Nothing. Only shadows. But Johanna's face had paled to the color of bone. After the curtain fell and the applause scattered like broken glass, they slipped out into the night, arm in arm. The city had become something unrecognizable. Windows stared down like blind eyes. Doors hung ajar, creaking on broken hinges. Horses whinnied and thrashed against invisible threats. Somewhere deep in the mist, a woman sobbed. A sound so ragged and hopeless it could have been the soul of the city itself. And always, the music, threading through the alleys, whispering, hunting. They quickened their pace, boots striking the cobblestones like muffled drumbeats. Karl's instincts screamed at him, danger, ambush, but there was no enemy he could name, only that vile lingering song. At last Johanna's townhouse emerged from the gloom, its gabled roof crooked against the night sky. They burst through the door, slamming it behind them, trembling from something neither could yet understand. Inside, the fire coughed and struggled in the hearth, and shadows danced like mad things along the walls. They reached for each other blindly, needing the anchor of skin and breath and warmth. As their bodies tangled, desperate and raw, the world outside ceased to exist. Until knocking. 3 slow, deliberate raps at the door. Karl tore away, chest heaving. He seized the door handle, flinging it open with a snarl. Nothing. Only mist, and the faint dying strains of that impossible piano. Johanna, heart hammering against her ribs, stumbled to the window. And there, in the suffocating dark, a figure. Gaunt, shuddering, barely human. Long hair in dripping strands. A coat too thin for the season. A face half seen, half remembered. It was Ludwig, or what had been Ludwig once. His mouth moved, forming words she could not hear, but felt deep in her marrow. His presence leached the warmth from the room. Her breath fogged the glass, and from the depths of the mist came a low, agonizing wail, a sound no living thing should ever make. Karl moved to shield her, but she barely noticed. Her eyes locked on the spectre beyond the window. The past was no longer behind her. It had found her. It had come to claim her. And it would not come alone.